That is selfish. That is not humility. That is not charity. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you, as prospective readers and viewers, will change your mind. Not for everyone else, but only for you, and what is only for you to determine, self-inquiring and mediating what enough means for you and yours only, biological abilities, ecosystems. Here is a spoiler alert. Individualism is key before collectivism. This concept initiative is all about individual authenticities, not defined nor structured by collectivisms. What that is, letting others to make the decisions on our individual behalf. Because otherwise, that is structural coercion. What is coercion? Epidemiology, averages upon averages, letting everyone else to make decisions, broad brush decisions on our biological individual behalf. Where does this all lead? Pedestrian normalcy and scientific authoritarianism, whereby homogeneity is favored over individuality. Individuality, on the other hand, is nothing more but a free radical. That individual is likely not going to be interpreted by the larger collectivism's sense, in that he or she is humble enough. So when people complain and object against this concept initiative, oh, that's not humility, that's not charity, the main overarching question that we have to bravely project against such opinions is that humility according to whom? By what metric? By how? By what? And the most important of all, the most important and difficult question of them all, by why? Here's a hint to those who are anxious for an answer. The question why implies a very, very personal and individual thing. Anything of why is also a biological, and therefore it is first and foremost a biological state of reasoning first and foremost. Before then, it can be retranslated and or repurposed towards that of our liabilities, obligatory ecosystems. Many people say that humility is all about societal modesty. Many people say that it symbolizes inner charity. Many people believe that it's all about being generosity, kindness, reciprocal ways of forgiveness and or giving, so on and so forth. So there's a pattern here. They're all indicative of one thing. You are seen as a giver, heavily judged that you are more resourceful than someone else to give away for, to sacrifice for, whatever the case may be. You are seen as an inspiration, a source of inspiration to then inspire others that you are indeed resourceful enough in giving away something more than what seems enough. Until their judgment of you is no longer enough. So then, what do? They look for someone else to exploit. And such is the irony of harmony. Do no harm, and yet there goes the logistics towards such an utopianist outcome. There's a word there that says harm, followed by a collectivization or a categorization, as indicated by the ending ny or oni, hence harm, money, a state of being in balance, a state of being in synchronicity by way of harm. So what does that tell us? Everything involves harm, irrespective whether the collectivism of we or us like it or not. Everything involves inflammation. But it's about charity, it's about being giving away. You are being selfish, you have no faith, you have no belief. Well, what this author carries is not that of faith or a prescription of one thing per se. The only thing that he believes is that he carries no faith at all, but he carries biological convictions. So what? It is easy for readers to assume that at this point in time that we should all remain just stuck up and or be as selfish for as long as possible. It is every man, woman and child for their own selves. Well, the main intent of this video is such that it shares both a yes and no answer to such an argument, but not at the same time. Everything leads as stages from one to another. Charity and benevolence are indeed very, very noble virtues, in which this author may only actually expresses his numerous thanks, gratitude, as well as, most of all, mutual respect. Charity and or benevolence is only the end result of an equation or an outcome. So what does this mean then for anyone watching this who is already engaged in community services worker? Should they feel discouraged from doing so? Well, this author would say, no. Please, by all means, keep going as to however your state of capacity allows you to both pragmatically continue in such state of charitable submission. For as long as the logistics, the resources, and the business ecosystems actually meet sufficiently to that at catering and sustaining such liabilities ecosystem, then this author would pretty much humbly places no judgments whatsoever. By all means, keep everything towards your own selves, despite however selfish as that may sound. We must never forget that before there is cooperation, there is always, indeed, an initial degree of self-inquisition. What that inquisition is self-inquiry. Self-inquiring the metabolic, physiological self-awareness at exercising and reconciling what enough means. By experiencing diverse nutritional and scientific unorthodoxies of sustaining one's contentment without contempt, exercising one's true biological convictions with lesser confusions. So before anyone were to go all out, virtue signaling others to keep telling others to be more humble, be more subservient, be more charitable, be this or be that, then ask yourself, what is the main purpose behind all this scrutiny? What am I really doing this for? Is it to encourage my victim to do and to incite the same judgment as I have judged upon them? The most difficult of all, ask yourself why. Hence, humility in today's widely prevalent pedestrian lexicon and semantics is, unfortunately, truth be told, a collectivist oxymoron. In conclusion, there is several key pragmatic takeaway thematics and philosophies that this author would like to kindly remind its prospective readers and viewers, and also those who express such likewise stigma and judgments. There is: every virtue spares a vice, and vice versa. Let us read that once again. Every virtue spares a vice, and vice versa. Everything, therefore, is subjected to individual sense of privacy. Privacy is, in fact, one of the many great confounders for such a peaceful containment of one's humility. And what is humility? Once again, an exercise, a constant self-inquiring between scarcity and abundance, for one to nutritionally and biologically convinced at interpreting what enough means. Judge your own judgments and make sure that it is both productive and conducive either to someone else or to you. In the long run, that is, that for as long as it feeds productively and conducively, whether it is for the benevolent outcomes and pursuits or desires of other people, either that or that it feeds back towards your own self-sufficiency to remain your own self-contentment without raising contempts and without raising more insecurities, then there is no need for violence. And so, within this mini discussion, we also may have to discuss about bullying. Bullying doesn't just happen in high school playgrounds anymore. It resides far and wide in corporate offices, reception desks, etc., etc. It resides all realms of life. It may not be intentional, but the neglect, the sense of neglect is somehow always there. And that needs to be readdressed upon back to that individual who made such an assumption or such knee-jerk statement altogether. Be more humble, be more this, be more that. So, once again, judge your own judgments. Remain conscious of all there is of your own judgments. There is no use in moral comparison roller coaster. Try asking our own selves once again, does it feel good back to me if I were to resort by knee-jerk impulse or response to borrow other people's circumstances, other people's problems, woes, and or sheer bad lucks, whatever the case may be, as my own moral ammunition to fuel my judgments against whoever it is that I'm trying to morally condescend. Ask yourself if all that is worth it at all. Misery loves comparisons, and vice versa. We must never forget that at the end of the day, the only winner in all of these frivolous comparisons over who's had it worse is the one that, well, as one may have already guessed it, the one who has already passed away. Hence, if readers and individuals wish to know more beyond just decentralized nutritional science, please, by all means, feel free to view and review the free to download parent manuscript at nutritional-humility.me, as well as its accompanying manuscript, which talks about the more nuanced details on glycation and products, all in the same website. Once again, it is all about living it forward, living it authentically forward, peacefully and privately within one's own contentment, with as far away from scientific authoritarianism and quantified paternalism. Keep living it forward. Thank you for watching.